We thank Spirit for rain in its season, for gentle winds and merciful clouds, for heat and cold, all adopted by love to meet human comfort and nature's needs. For all of these, we have appointed a time so that beauty and productiveness of the creation may increase. Let nothing hinder the harmony of the whole, but let man and nature work together to restore the perfection of the kingdom on earth. I now speak peace and harmony to the elements, that all nature may receive directly from our hands and fulfill its purpose of beauty and productiveness in the name and through the power of the Spirit who said to the waves and the winds that harmony and peace will reign supreme within all of us, that it may be so in the elements. Ashe. So our sacred movement for today is going to be a womb yoga flow that we've done before many months ago. It was called the calming flow. If you are new here, I will take moves from Queen Afua's womb yoga dance and womb yoga series. All of the moves can be found in her book, Overcoming an Angry Vagina, but some of the moves can be found in your Sacred Woman book. She also has a womb yoga DVD that you can purchase from her, but it's hard to get your hands on because she doesn't always have it. My kids are going to just be yelling. She doesn't always have it on deck. You know what I mean? So that if that's something you want, you have to be like persistent. But that's why I do this. And that's why I also recommend that you go ahead and get the book, because the Overcoming an Angry Vagina book, or the poster. She also has a poster. But if you get those tools, then you can combine the moves yourself and make your own womb yoga flows, womb yoga dances. Back during the Sacred Movement Gateway, we did during a circle go through every single move in the books, the Overcoming an Angry Vagina, so that you could learn the moves, be inspired to make your own womb yoga flows, make your own womb movement dances, which we also have done before, right? We have our womb wellness journey dance that we do all the time. And then let's see, the other yoga flow we do is like the morning, or it's the newt. I don't know, we squat, we rise, we go down into kind of womb universal newts, which is basically like a downward dog, and then we squat again, and we just rotate through this, rise up, flow down, move your hips a little, go back down into the squat, and we go, usually I try to make the womb yoga flows go through the movement, and dance go through the movement so that you can repeat it over and over again. But anyways, just feel free to make your own. This one is just one that I have made before that I thought we would go ahead and do, since I'm feeling a little more active. But I was just like, my body was just like, do not jump around today. Do not turn off. Has your mom ever just said that? Be like, girl, chill. Like, just do some yoga or something. But sacred movement is so important, and it's so important to do it even if you're not perfect, right? With womb yoga and womb yoga dance, Queen even says that those methods are not for perfection, especially at the beginning, you know what I mean? As you go through it over and over, hours and hours long, yes, you'll probably get better and better. But it's not about like hitting the movements and like choreography. It's about feeling the movements. It's about the energy that you're creating. It's about the energy that you're feeling. It's about the connection you're making with your body. You're not pushing your body like like how people like whip themselves, like when they're exercising, like it's a punishment. They're like, you keep going. And it's like, that's not what womb yoga is about. Womb yoga is about connecting with your body, connecting with your womb, being comfortable. And then yes, as you move more, you become more in control. You gain those muscles, you gain those abilities. As you do your womb yoga more, you're able to hold the poses for longer. You're able to straighten your back better, breathe with the movements better. It's just a process, right? So it's important to always keep up the process and keep up your movement and facilitate that movement energy, because I think so often we get so caught up in just sitting and just and not just getting ourselves moving. It's like whenever you feel stagnant, right, we always say just move, just and that's even whether you're feeling stagnant physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever. Physically, just getting up and moving and dancing and making that energy move around you will help the situation. So anyways, I'm just gonna go over real quick what we'll be doing. We're starting on our back in the rebirthing pose, which has our 2 feet will be together. All right, and so you'll be in the rebirthing pose on your back, holding your womb. And then we move into, So then we go from here to the advanced rebirthing pose. We're going to rise up, hold our bottom of our feet, and really relax into this. We'll open up into the lotus blossom, bring it together to womb seat. We're going to rise up into inner reflection and then the great womb purge. So rise up into inner reflection, and this is the great womb purge. And up here you can open your legs, you can move your body around however you feel, or you can just concentrate on keeping yourself up. We'll come back down, roll, and lift ourselves up into bridge over troubled waters. At this point, we will again lower ourselves, put our hands up into offering, and rise into our altar pose. And you can crisscross or relax however you feel led from there.
Sacred women, it's time to rise. This here is a mighty call for healing. Our self-belief so sweet. We'll be feeling when I wake up in the morning time. I must affirm to me I am that I am a sacred woman shining, praying endlessly for life, praying endlessly for life, serenity, praying endlessly for life, praying endlessly for life, serenity. Sacred woman, if you love yourself, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you feel divine, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you're ready to rise, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you know you're powerful, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Women heartbroken, hurt by men, healing within, except nothing, sacred union. Women getting down, women walking the street. All the women who forgot the divinity. Wake up out your sleep and reclaim your sacred sea queen. Praying endlessly for life. Praying endlessly for life. Serenity. Praying endlessly for life. Praying endlessly for life. Serenity. Sacred woman, if you love yourself, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you feel divine, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you're ready to rise, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, you know you're powerful, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you love yourself, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you feel divine, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you're ready to rise, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, you know you're powerful, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred women, you are divine. Sacred women, this is your time. Sacred women, reclaim your mind. Rise and heal. Women, mother to all. You are the nurturer. Shining star. Sacred women, this is your time. Sacred woman, if you love yourself, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you feel divine, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you're ready to rise, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, you know you're powerful, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you love yourself, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you feel divine, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, if you're ready to rise, let me hear you say, I'm sacred. Sacred woman, you know you're powerful, let me hear you say, I'm sacred.
The Adinkwa card for today is Miwari Hu, and it means I'll marry you, a symbol of commitment and perseverance. It means commitment and promise, commit to yourself, another person, or your dreams in ways that will honor you, nourish, and help to build a legacy that you can be proud of. Your desires need you, so be consistent and believe in them. I think this one's a very beautiful symbol of one of commitment. So yeah, definitely one that can be used for building yourself up in the face of your commitments and promises and beliefs and dreams, and also building connection with those things and people and other things. So it can be more literal, but also more figurative. Our law that we're studying today for the 42 Laws of Mott is, I will not be excitable or contentious. I will not be excitable or contentious. So, not being excitable or contentious. So excitable can mean a lot of things, but contentious means that you're like super quick to argue, like super quick to, I don't know, not just like play devil's advocate, which is its own level of being contentious. But yeah, like argumentative, like kind of for the sake of being argumentative, kind of not really necessary. You just like to make shit big for no reason. That's obviously clearly not a life of balance. It's also not morally correct, right? Because you're affecting not only yourself with this energy, but other people, making them perhaps scared to approach people with basic shit because you have ruined it for them. It's a form of abuse to be super contentious, I think, with people. And then also, you can't really be confused why people don't want to be around you if you're always making a big deal out of things that don't need to be made a big deal out of. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in like the fact that, maybe we're bored or something, I don't know, but I've noticed on Facebook especially, and this is like grown people my age, like mid-20s to some of them are like 40s, 50s years old, spending time, being super argumentative, being excitable about drama, spreading things that like don't need to be spread, starting shit that don't need to be started. So I think, recognizing that you're doing that type of thing is important, and then also recognizing that, it's not healthy, that it's not helpful, it's morally incorrect, and also that you're completely off balance if that's what you're spending your time doing, is lashing out at people or trying to make shit out of when there isn't really any shit, just being that really argumentative person, that person who wants to make a mountain out of a molehill consistently for no reason. So anyways, I think that is our lesson from Mott for today. And we will definitely keep pushing through and learning all of our 42 laws, as well as our Adinkra symbols, which you can get this Adinkra deck, I almost forgot, at Adinkra Living. You can even see that, it's like backwards. AdinkraLiving.com for this beautiful Adinkra deck from Bressie Ondo Tools for Living. Yeah, Tools for Living. I love that deck. It is chop time, so I thought I would share my quilt and its progress with you. If you can remember, up here we have our oil lamp, and down here I've been working on this here girl. Let's see if I can like lift her into your vision. Okay, so I finished sewing her on. She's still nude. Let her be nude. And I also sewed her hand over the weekend. So healing. Like, I was like, I've been like sick and needing to come back into myself. So it was so nice to just sit and sew and connect with something, and connect with a project that was just about me and just about my own journey and stuff. So I have here her Ankara hand that I had planned. She's reaching up here towards her beautiful oil lamp, which probably should have like a table or something underneath. I'm still not sure what I'm doing totally with this. But I'm on to the face, which is a mess right now. I'm not completely sure it's going to turn out the way I wanted it to. But, that's art. That's practice. It's my first one. We're still doing it. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that, I was still progressing, that it's still something that's on my mind, that it's still something I'm working on. I also wanted to encourage you to, keep thinking of ways to make it yours, your own. Yours is definitely not going to look like mine, because mine is just like pure applique, and it's just not even really a quilt, It's like a quilt top sort of so far, but for everybody's mind works differently. For some people, it's easy for them to be like, let me put all these little pieces together in straight lines and make a big piece, and that's a quilt. And then for me, I'm like, all those little pieces, I'm like, don't speak numbers to me, don't talk math to me. Crafts are supposed to be fun, so I'm just like cutting and free-forming. And I wanted to share really briefly this book that I bought that has helped me with applique, just in case one of you happens to want to do applique too. Why's my hair all funky looking? I don't know. I had to braid it, like I said, because I was like, I just didn't want to deal with it over the weekend. So on like Friday morning, I just braided it into a bunch of like fat braids, and I'm like, here I am, hello. So I bought this book after I started the body, because I was like, maybe I'm not doing this right, maybe I'm like wasting fabric, maybe there's an easier way to do this. All of those things were correct. I was definitely wasting fabric. There's definitely easier ways to do this. This book actually teaches not only it goes mostly over, I'd say the better portion of the book goes over like new age applique methods. So it's like the cheat way, use the freezer paper and like iron it and then put it on the paper or the quilt, and then take the paper out. It's perfect, I guess. Like I just kind of skimmed over that part, because what really interested in me was in the back. She spends a very brief scant few pages talking about the traditional applique method. And in the traditional applique method, you just sew, y'all. You just cut and sew, basically. You put about 1/4 of an inch around, and see, I don't even know where the page is. Oh, there we go. Okay, so she for me, this was really easy to look at and see. You cut the piece, you cut the pieces about 1/4 of an inch outside of your design, and then you just turn it under and sew. Just turn it under and sew. Or, I use hella pins because I'm like, I always have to be getting up and like leaving my stuff. I'm just, I'm not a full-time quilter. So, but I did want to just, show you that I'm still working on my freedom quilt that honors my journey, that honors, the process of journeying through the gateways and what it means to me as a sacred woman, as somebody who works their roots, who is reclaiming hoodoo and African traditional religions as a whole, so that's what I really want my quilt to reflect. And I think, you could do that in so many different ways. And yeah, so I mean, just keep on trying, or keep on making your art, keep on expressing yourself as you move through your journey, and recognize that it can be a form of therapy, it can be a form of, enlightenment, it can be a form of learning new things about yourself. Like I mean, like, I would have never thought of, when I was feeling down spiritually or emotionally, to pull out a quilt and just sew. Or, it just sounds so old fashioned, or like, it just, who does that? Who does that? But at the same time, it's just, it just is something that's so connective. It's just one of those things that, our ancestors did it, not just because it was usable, which that's definitely, pretty much most African art is usable to some degree, like a lot of it, just a lot of it. When we make pretty things, usually it has some kind of use that goes with it, be that spiritual or, common use. But it's like they were also utilizing these quilts as a way to, connect with the community, as a way to heal themselves, as a way, as a creative outlet for themselves and the community. And I think, the spirit of that can also be transferred to our quilts and our art, whatever it is we're making, right? So you could be painting, you could be journaling, I don't know, you could be making a scrapbook, I don't know, but whatever it is you're doing, I hope you're doing it with your full heart, with your fullest of intention of, and allowing it to be something that you can turn to in times where you need to heal, or you need to remember what this journey is about. I do think, the next thing I want to sew is definitely a shawl. That has just been kind of clicking off in my mind. So I think next year I'm probably gonna make the shawl. So I'd love if like people stuck with me and made a freedom shawl with me, and like that would be so awesome if all sacred women really did have a freedom shawl, or everybody who read the book really did make a freedom shawl of some sort. I think that would be so amazing. So anyways, and it would be so distinctive, wouldn't it? Like you would know, because you'd be like, who has a quilted shawl? Who wears that? So it would be a really beautiful and symbolic thing that I think that if we adopted it, it could be something very powerful. So anyways, that's next year, folks, or this year if you're, gonna do all this by yourself. I don't know. But if you want to do it with me, that's next year, folks. Starting January. So anyways, let me go ahead and take my chop. Let me go ahead and take my hit. Y'all see me in my damn baby fat gear? I bought this shit at the mall, like, you ever been with your spouse at the mall, and then they're just like, buy something. They want you to buy something. They want to spend money on you. And I didn't really want anything at the mall. I'm like, I hate the mall. I don't wear shit from the mall. But I remembered Kimura came out with the baby fat collection. So, Forever 21 was right there in front of me. Went in, tried on this outfit. It was pretty much the only thing left in my size. And I pulled on these leggings, and I was like, y'all, my womb area has never felt so good in a pair of leggings. It, like, doesn't cut in. It feels so great. 2 weeks later, Kimura sells out with the Kardashians. Now it's like, man, now I look foolish walking around in your gear, looking like a damn fool because I wanted to have a puff jacket this winter. So I thought I'd support your brand. So anyways, that's my story. I'm wearing my baby fat gear that is very comfortable, but that I probably will not be supporting again. Sadly enough. Sad but true. I'm like, girl, you did not need this. She is like a level of classy that the Kardashians wish, you know? It's just like, girl, guys, you don't have to roll in the mud. Never. Anyway, that's me. That's me in my outfit. But it's so comfortable. I just, you know, it's like I can't resist. I can't resist this outfit. Pretty sure we left off on page 276 last time. So we're going back into that with intuitive healing. Now that you've done so much healing work on yourself and your life with diet, exercise, baths, herbal preparations, prayer, altar work, meditation, journaling, you've truly begun to open up your inner channels of communication with the highest source. You've probably begun to experience flashes of intuition or inner knowing. What this means is that you're opening to your gifts of clairvoyance and prophecy. This could not have happened until you journeyed through the preceding gateways, because you would not have been clear enough to receive accurate answers to your questions. Also, by doing your inner healing work on a steady basis, you develop a powerful sense of self-responsibility and compassion for others. The most important thing is to use these awakened gifts to express respect and gratitude from the source. The world is made up of both light and dark, and it is our job as sacred women to maintain the balance between these opposing forces within ourselves and in our lives. Our ancestors knew that our spirits faced tremendous challenges on a daily basis, from our inner forces of temptation and negativity to outer attacks, both subtle and overt. That is why we have the presence and protection of Ma'at, truth, clarity, and balance. And that is why our hearts are weighed against the feather of Ma'at every day, to make us consciously aware of when we are out of balance. For only then can we make the proper changes in ourselves. We all have our times of weakness and doubt, sacred woman, but we have tools for recovering from these states. We have the love and protection of all the spiritual guardians we have met as we moved through the gateways. We have the love and protection of Ma'at, and above all, we have the protection of Ntur, the highest source of love. We only need to ask for their help and protection. It's as simple as that. And it's as hard as that, because the universal law says to get help, you must ask for help. We must be responsible to ourselves to see where we are, to know when to ask for help. There's no room for ego in a sacred woman. We must recognize and honor our true needs. That's when we need to do an inner cleansing, to fast, meditate, pray, take a sacred bath, write in our journal, or go out in nature. We must ask for help, and we must know deeply in our heart of hearts that help is instantly there. That, I think, is such a good, thing to hold with us, because we need to remember that it's something that we always have. I think a lot of times, people are like, feel like we're out of options. And I do this too all the time. I'm like, I don't even know anymore. Like, I don't even know. And then it's just like, but did I do any of this stuff? Sometimes I even like, I will totally forget after years of doing it. And I'll just be like in that funk of stagnation and just kind of not doing anything proactively, or at least, getting into that feeling of like not wanting to ask, thinking, it should just be here. But at the end of the day, you do need to put that forth. You do need to use your sacred words and ask. Start making that ripple effect of putting it out there so that it starts to manifest around you. I think asking is just something, I think especially as Black women, we just get nervous. Not nervous, but like it just like people will just view us as entitled, I feel like. Whereas like for other women, it's like people are like, oh, I just want to serve. And then it's like for Black women, I think a lot of the time it just isn't that same feeling of like chivalry towards, people of Black descent. And that's something that I think, makes us so that we're a little more hesitant, perhaps, to ask, to, seem needy, to, put it forth. But remember, at the very base minimum, you can ask your ancestors, you can talk with your spirit guides, you can talk with, spirit, and ask and do your best. And the most important part, though, is she said, not only must you ask, but you must know deeply in your heart of hearts that help is instantly there. You must know it. You must have the faith. And I think I saw that actually the other day. It's so funny we're reading this because I swear in a group on Facebook I saw this the other day where this girl was just like, I've done it all. I've fasted, I've climbed to the mountaintop, I have bathed, I have doused myself in holy oils, I have, lamented, I have like prayed, I have done it all, and nothing. That, or maybe, I don't even know if she meant like it was nothing. I can't even remember if she would, because so many people say this thing. It's like, oh, is it that, so sometimes it's like things have gotten worse, sometimes it's like it feels nothing has happened, blah blah blah. But the issue, that somebody posts, so I remember, is that somebody said, there's just the difference between going through the motions and having that faith and knowing, that your ancestors have your back and that things are going to work out, and that it may not be exactly how you're, meticulously planning it out, but that things are going to work out in the end. And recognizing some things may fall apart to make the things that you're asking come together, so that, making sure you're not asking for conflicting things. But at the end of the day, all it is that you have to have that faith, in yourself, in your bloodline, in your ancestors, in your path. Get used to having that conviction. And I think in the beginning, especially, it's like when like you want this path and you can feel it sometimes, be okay with that sometimes at first. You know what I mean? Be okay with that, like you have this full intuition that's pulling you here, or be okay with that. You only can sometimes let the faith completely wash over you, because I think it's something that some people may need to build in comfort level. And I think it's something we also went through in Christianity. I think a lot of people have to go through that too, and then for some people, they just never feel comfortable fully, or they just don't feel like this is their right path eventually, once they learn more. But scripture tends to be a starting point for a lot of people, just because it's so accessible, it's so popular, it's pretty well written, it's got language, it's got history, power behind it, people chanting, across the world in different languages. It's got a lot going for it. So it's something that a lot of people really start with, and they go through the motions there too, but in that area it's so normalized that it feels like foreign when you then try and transfer it over here and just start praying and laying hands in the name of your ancestors, in the name of spirit, in the name of, like the roots that you're working, the nature that surrounds you, etc. All right, so we're on consulting time-tested oracles. She says, I read life. I read life symbols by observing how the feather falls at my feet, and it reminds me to step in balance. I read why a person who has asthma is my devoted client, which is a reminder to me to take better care of my own lungs. For almost 10 years, I lived as a hermit in order to channel the works of a sacred woman. So that part I think is also so important because I think I've said this before too, but every story that you see where somebody pops out of nowhere, it never started from nowhere. That shit was 3 to 10 years in the making. You know what I mean? That shit was, even when they didn't realize they were doing it, they were doing it. They were building up a skill. They were maybe suffering through something that is about to lead them to whatever they got to today. Maybe they're building a skill, going to school. Maybe they are honing in on themselves and actually going through the process of trying to learn, which is what you and me are trying to do, right? We're not necessarily hermiting, but we are trying to build with each other, but from where we're at, from what we're doing. And that part I think is really important for us to remember, is that this type of shit takes time. You know what I mean? It takes time to build your sacred woman cabinet, your medicine bag, your ability to do all these things. All right, so people, I think they'll do every gateway for a week, maybe with Queen, maybe by themselves, or they'll tug along, and then they'll be like, I feel like I haven't, I can't master the gateways. I felt like that. I was like, when I went through the Sacred Woman training with Queen, I was like, whoa, like I don't know anything. I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd finish a week and I'd feel like kind of like a failure. Like, sometimes, like, I'd get it, I'd nail a week. But, like, other weeks, like, sacred words, for example, I remember after that week, I was like, I suck at sacred words. I was like, I can't do this. I can't, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying I sucked at sacred words, like, because I couldn't even, speak well on myself about my sacred words. Like, I couldn't even do any of it. I was just like, I can't. I was done. And like that tripped me up for a bunch of other things because I was so caught up in the fact that I didn't master sacred words in a week. And so after, like, so then when I did Sacred Woman Practitioner stuff, I had to recalibrate my mind and try and, like, get back into the zone of recognizing that for some things I was going to get it in a couple days, and for other things it was going to take me perhaps years, and and I think I'm better now, but I do still think it's going to take more years before I think I'm where I think I should be. So anyways, I think that part is so important. She mentions 10 years. She spent a full decade working at her, craft, working at her religion, working on her spirit, working on her ability, her demeanor, the way she dressed, the way she carried herself. You know what I'm saying? She put in that full effort and blossomed and grew. So from wherever you are, I mean, 10 years can seem like a lot, but 10 years is it's a growing experience. It shows, and that's not to say that during that 10 years you're not going to master any of this. You're not going to get to full potential or a great potential for any of these. That's just to say you need to give yourself time. You need to respect your slip ups. You need to experiment a little perhaps to see what really is you, and perhaps shed those things that you've been carrying along with you that are other people's expectations, or other people's aesthetic, or other people's mannerisms, etc., that you've just adopted over the years to make yourself more palatable, but that aren't truly authentic. So just trying to find that beautiful balance. So she says, I've been personally reading cards to help me raise my children and to learn to see my first eye. Now it's time for me to open up and reach out. So I developed the Sacred Woman's Prayer cards to help you work with the sacred guardians of each gateway. I channeled and developed these cards for the spiritual support of sacred woman initiates and devotees to the light of truth. So yeah, I'm not sure actually if you can buy the prayer cards or if you can only get them if you go through Sacred Woman initiation and Sacred Woman practitioner, work. So I'm not sure if you can buy the cards. Anyways, the point is still, reading symbols, reading cards. Okay. So she mentions that also Sen-Ert Kaitha Het-Heru, the priestess of the Gate of Het-Heru, designed a divine personal set of oracle cards inspired from our ancient Kemetic legacy to assist her in her spiritual readings with clients and divinations. She points out that in ancient times, temple priestesses were carefully trained to perform this service. I think I'm going to sneeze. Okay. So I think that was really powerful because it does speak, about or reference here the tradition of reading. Maybe it was on papyrus, I don't know. In Egypt, reading some sort of card with symbols, pulling cards for people, for individuals or other religious people, I don't know exactly. But being able to, utilize this skill was something that priestesses had as far back as ancient Egypt. Reading symbolic cards and shuffling and drawing is nothing new. And there have been many terms for it prior to the common today of tarot or oracle cards, sometimes called. So to prepare your deck for use, smoke cleanse it for purification. You can also spray or sprinkle with Florida water, blessing water, whatever it is that you so choose. You can also wrap your deck in a silk cloth. That is something that I also really love about Dust to Onyx. It doesn't come with a silk cloth, but she does sell, and I am always eyeing them don't let me have an extra $100 on me, y'all. Anyways, she sells these bags, these everything bags that have, you can fold it up a certain way and it's a bag, and you can fold it up, take it apart, and it's like a scarf or it's a blanket or it's like a shawl, and they are each printed with a face from, I think, just the major arcana on the cloths. But anyways, it's such a beautiful traditional way to store your deck, is to have a beautiful silk cloth or a similar type of cloth that really speaks to you, and tie your deck up in it and have it be sitting in that. And then you always have a little space to open up and use your deck on. All right, so she says you don't always have to do a whole complex reading. You can just choose one card for a daily meditation, guidance, and journal work. So remember, you can do this journal work. I like to have a special journal just for having notes. It can be just a composition. I think my grimoire still is a composition book up in here. I've been thinking about that too. I was like, I need to transfer that into a pretty book. But just use what you have for when you have it. Just get $1 workbook and just take notes on your stuff and get acquainted with your decks and with practicing reading. So she says, just shuffle the deck 5 times, spread the cards face down on a flat surface, Close your eyes, move your right hand over the deck until you feel energy coming up to your hand from one card, and open your eyes, choose the card, and turn it over to see what sacred principle has come to guide you for that day. You may want to dialogue with it in your journal to see what it has to tell you or to ask questions. I looked up the Black Angel deck, and it's actually on Amazon for like $30, which was pretty impressive. You should buy it if you're seeing this not on Prime Day, to stick it to Jeff Bezos, right? We're talking to him about what he's doing. He doesn't pay his workers, but he also doesn't pay taxes. It's like, dang, Jeff. All right, so let's see. Oh, she's talking about the cards. She said, Showcase cards, the Black Angels by Earthlyn, Marceline, Manuel, bring you heavenly melanin-rich guidance on a daily basis. That's old but gold. That's an old deck that I think just one of the originals. And, I love that it was Black Angels, and it really spoke to a lot of communities. And I think we're going to start seeing that deck be in a lot of churches and stuff. As time goes on, I think we're going to see a lot of Christian churches either coming out like as roots type of churches, or we're going to see them just try to, get people to come in by being like, we have this medium who reads Black Angel tarot cards or something like that. You know what I mean? But anyways, I have a feeling like as people reclaim African traditional religions, we'll start seeing more competition from the Christian sector. So she also said the Mother Peace deck from Vicky Nobel and Jonathan Tenney. And finally, she says another deck that might interest you if you feel strongly pulled to nature, and also the Native American aspect of this deck. Is the medicine cards of Jamie Sams and David Carson, both of whom are well-respected and powerful medicine people. The animal oracles in this deck are beautiful and wise and bring their healing medicine to you straight from Mother Earth. So this one I think is more of an animal-centered deck, which I think is also a really good option. Getting like an animal-centered deck, or it's like you can get one that's like cultural to you, animal-centered, or I think like alien, or those really whimsical abstract. I've seen ones with like bones. I've seen a lot of different ones that are, I think, a little more inclusive than the decks that are just like pale people from start to finish. And it may be easier to connect with those, is what I'm saying. Oh, whoops, sorry, I just totally skipped over numerology here at the bottom of 277. Another tool for learning to access the intuitive realms of science and importance is the science of numbers. Numerology is an ancient modality often attributed to the Greek master mathematician Pythagoras. Record history confirms Pythagoras actually spent years of study in ancient Egypt before establishing his college in philosophy of numbers. The science of numerology is brilliantly explained in Lloyd Strayhorn's Numbers and You. That sounds like an interesting book, y'all. This informative guidebook would be particularly useful as you navigate the meaning of key numbers in your life, such as your name, your birth date, those of your loved ones, your address, your phone number. That will lead to harmony and prosperity. That's really interesting. I'm interested to look up my address on that and see what that's about. Strayhorn's national bestseller is packed with useful information and easy to follow instructions about the power of numbers. Again, that was called Numbers and You by Lloyd Strayhorn. Finally, we're on to the pendulum. I don't even have my pendulum on me. Here I am just talking about pendulums. Do I even know where one is? We're just going to talk about this for right now, because my kids recently broke my crystal pendulum. I have like a rose quartz one. It was very devastating. So anyways, I'm at a loss right now. But we're going to just talk about it anyways, because this is the best I can do right now. So, the more we are able to purify our body temple, the more sensitive we become to subtle energies. Working with a pendulum teaches us how to sense or tune in to the subtle energy fields that surround us. The pendulum serves as a powerful bridge between the conscious and the unconscious mind. So it's a bridge, but it's not totally necessary. I know there are a lot of people who kind of move to the point where they feel like they don't need a pendulum. And then there's other people who kind of always prefer to have that there to guide them and act as, a very clear message. And I think it's very useful to always have, it's like it's the simplest of all tools to keep on you. And it can be as simple as a necklace and taking that off and using that with the weighted item that's on there. So, a pendulum is always, pretty close around. Um, Learning to use a pendulum can teach us how to access and trust our own intuition. That's another reason why it's so powerful, while bypassing the judgments and distortions of the conscious mind. The pendulum works by allowing the invisible energetic signals to be converted into visible movements through the response of the pendulum. Most sacred women are pendulum workers. Use of the pendulum is an ancient technique based on dowsing, in which sensitive people were able to use a forked stick to find the ley lines or earth energy meridians, to find the proper sites for buildings and towns, and to find sources for underground water. Now, isn't that cool? I feel like they're always like, how did they know to build this building right here? And I think that there's so many clear examples, like between the fact that they could actually see the stars back then and the fact that they were utilizing, tools like this and could recognize that there were differences in the earth, different energetic properties that could affect different things, and that if you were here that could be repeated, etc. Our ancestors weren't stupid. They were very observant and a little more, I would dare say, observant than we are now. So we always have to keep that in mind, I think, when looking at these things. Today we tend to use a pendulum instead of a forked stick because in our rushed modern world, we're often faced with having to make instant decisions and consult our guidance on a moment's notice. All you need is a small weight on a chain or string or ribbon, and that will swing freely. Many people like to use a crystal pendant on a chain, dangly earring. You can even use house keys in an emergency. Any weighted object suspended from a 3 to 6 inch string or chain will do. If you're using something on a fairly long chain, wrap the chain around your forefinger so that only 2 or 3 inches remain. You don't need a wide movement to get an accurate answer. So I'm going to go now pause and see if I can't find myself something to use as a pendulum. But I'm telling y'all, I'm not tearing up my house. So we'll just see. We'll see. Alright, so I found my womb pendant that I got from, I want to say it's like the womb doula, sacred doula, the sacred doula. On Instagram, she sells these. I got this from her a long time ago. Anyways, I'm gonna just go ahead and try and use this as a pendulum. I don't usually as much anymore, but I was like, I found this. I see you, and I always enjoy looking at my little womb here. So it has a super long chain, so I tried to take it up a bit so you could still see my hand and still see the pendulum. So the first thing we remember is that we don't move our hand, right? We're not moving our hand, like jerking it around or whatever. You don't need to move your hand. You don't need to touch it, nothing. Just let it hang and do its thing. The second thing, let's see. She says, if it's a it's like a chain or whatever, a shorter chain, You can just hold it within your thumb and your forefinger of your right hand. She says right hand because that's for incoming information and energy. You hold your hand still and you trust that the pendulum will move all by itself. Take 3 deep breaths, relax, put yourself in a light meditative state, and call upon the divine light, the spirit that is indwelling, for guidance to give you clear and truthful answers to your questions. The first time you ever use your pendulum, you should hold it within both of your hands and ask for it to be blessed by your ancestors. Ask them to bless your sacred tool. All right, so the first step with your pendulum, right, was that we blessed it. You can smoke cleanse with it, you can meditate with it, let it know, your intentions, your type of personhood, because this is a tool that you will be connected with and using a lot, or for a long time, should I say. So you're going to hold your hand still. If you ever notice when you try and hold your hand still, you think about it too much, it's hard. I feel like my hand's like shaking up here, like, hold your hand still. All right. And so the first thing you would establish is what is yes, what is no, what is neutral. And for everybody, this may be different. Everybody, this may be different. Or you may have it be the pendulum tells you for every time. Maybe you're the type of person who's just like, let's be clear about how I read things. This will be yes, this will be no. I think both ways work for people. It just kind of depends on you, and then also the tool you're using, if it's as conducive to that. And I think practicing reading with certain things, I think, makes you build a relationship with it, so it may be easier to read with your usual pendulum than it is to maybe connect with like a random necklace you've made, but it is totally possible, especially if you're somebody who can remain centered, and has really mastered this tool and divination process. So, for me, we'll just say, show me yes. So if you can see, for me, yes is a clockwise rotation, and we'll say stop or still, depends on your language preference. And then we'll say show me no. And again, we're just trusting that it will move, because it will move. It just does, So mine is just the simple opposite. It is a counterclockwise circular motion for no. And we'll say still. And show me neutral. So it's just back and forth. And if it's still, that would be interpreted as void, or perhaps it could be interpreted as a form of neutral to you as well. Just kind of depends on your version of reading it. So anyways, I did want to show you that with something, even if it wasn't with something I typically use as a pendulum at this time. I have, though. I mean, I have used this for that, but mostly this was supposed to be for decor on my womb altar and for different things I use. And sometimes I've worn it as a necklace. It's kind of bulky. It's a little big. So it does a little much. All right. So, okay, so she has a little bit different of stuff. So for me, it was like clockwise was yes, counterclockwise was no, and then just the swing back and forth was neutral, and then still is void. Here she has, you can have the clockwise meaning yes, the pendulum moving counterclockwise meaning no, or it can move vertical for yes and horizontal for no. Or why did horizontal. And then remember, always allow it to come to its point of stillness, hanging straight and motionless in between your questions. If the pendulum stands still when you ask a question, it means the question is void. There's no energy surrounding this issue. If you are not clear, the pendulum will jump from the right to the left, then back and forth almost all at once. So, you could get a really confusing looking mumbo jumbo, and that could be accurate. So, you just kind of have to learn to read your pendulum and, read the symbols, read the moment. If you don't get very much movement, that's okay. The pendulum will move more precisely with your practice as you simply relax. And like all good things, it just takes time. And then also, building energy with certain tools is also helpful. I think that's why, you'll see tarot readers have a super worn deck. It's because they've worked with that deck over and over. They've come to know it. It holds a certain, energy for them. The same way most things you own and work with will. As with all oracles, don't keep asking all the time or every day. Give life a chance to happen. The quieter, more detached, and less emotionally involved in the answer you are, the more accurate your reading will be. Try not to use the pendulum in a state of panic or high emotional distress. If the situation is critical, sit quietly and meditate until you regain your center. Then call out from within the one creator for your highest guidance and try the pendulum. So yeah, you're going to have your pendulum. I hate having one with all this extra excess. And you can go ahead and use your pendulums to practice for different certain things. So this is something I typically do for myself and for others. I like to do the womb readings, like I've said. I don't typically do any other kind of reading for people because I just don't. I prefer to work with, people's wombs and help them with that sort of thing, usually with overcoming some kind of trauma or getting some kind of answers, that sort of thing. So anyways, you can do this for yourself, though, starting from your mind. You can read your left and your right brain. You can read your left and your right lung. You can read your throat, right? Here, let me see. Let me read my throat real quick. Let's see. Oh, there you go. We're talking about great things. We're talking about wonderful sacred woman things, so it's pretty positive right now. So anyways, but you can also read your womb. You can read each of your gateways. You can be like, go through each of the gateways. Gateway 1, sacred womb. Gateway 2, sacred words. Gateway 3, sacred movement. Gateway 4, sacred foods. And just go through each of them and just see how positive, negative you are. See how many times it goes around, because maybe it will just go positive once or twice and then pause, and that's it. It's pretty positive, but then sometimes it may swing really, wild and big and out of control, and so that's a lot more of a positive sign of you in that gateway. So you can also use the pendulum to ask which spiritual guardian or source of guidance to consult that day. You can give yourself a full reading. She has here on page 279 a pendulum chart for the spiritual guardians and the gateways. And there are pendulum charts on Pinterest that you can see that cover a wide range of different things. And pendulum charts aren't totally necessary, but she says to use the chart. Take 3 deep breaths and begin to access a meditative state. Take your pendulum in your right hand, hold it over the dot in the center of the chart. Ask which guardian you should seek out for guidance and advice at this time. Wait quietly with your mind empty and allow the pendulum to find the path for the appropriate guardian. Then do your journal work or dialogue with that guardian or spirit that has come to you. So you can do that with, your own ancestors. You can do that with maybe just keywords, maybe the gateways. There's just alone without the, guardians. There's just a lot of different ways that you can really make the chart your own. She also says, as you enter the 9 gateway pendulum reading is on this page. As you enter each gateway, you'll take a pendulum reading once a week to receive an overall assessment of your condition. Hold the pendulum over each gateway of the pendulum log and ask, what is the condition of? So like that was reading each gateway, what is my sacred food? What is my this? What is that? And so every week or month or however that you are, journeying through the gateways, try now reading yourself and seeing how you, how you are doing. Give yourself an assessment. I think a lot of times people, feel really helpless, like, oh, I just don't even know. And sometimes you really don't know. Sometimes you're like, you really do need outside guidance. You need an elder, or you need somebody who specializes in a certain type of reading, or somebody who's emotionally detached from the situation and can see it with more clarity than you. But sometimes you can really just, it's good for a simple self-read. Read yourself, you know what I mean? So let's see, where was I? If, for example, do a reading of Gateway 8, Ost. If the pendulum swings counterclockwise, adverse, it means you're having challenges with your sacred union. If the pendulum does not move when the reading is void, it means then the reading is void, and it means your sacred union is chronically shut down. If you go to neutral swing, the sacred union can be better, but it's holding up on its own. If the pendulum swings very positively in a clockwise direction, it means your sacred union is very charged and positive. Rate your pendulum readings as indicated on the pendulum reading interpretations on page 280. Observe your progress as well as your blocked areas as you grow into and maintain your sacred woman wellness lifestyle. Watch as your readings go from void to adverse to neutral to positive. If you fall off your seat of sacred woman principles, you will watch the situation worsen as you decline in wellness. Your healing is in your own hands. So here she talks a little bit about that pendulum body reading that I was discussing. You can scan your entire body with your pendulum and read over every body part. As you travel your body with the pendulum, begin with your head. Ask if your mind and spirit are clear. Move on to your eyes, your ears, sinuses, throat, breasts, lungs, internal organs, womb, legs, arms, and back. If the pendulum swing is positive, the body member you are reading is healthy and there is good circulation and wellness. If the swing is less positive, this body member needs some care and attention to return to balance. You can also hold your pendulum over an anatomy chart and use it to indicate the degree of energy and light that your body contains and where any blockages might be. Always remember that you are never trapped by what appears in a reading. The reading can always change according to how you live. So the reading is just for that moment in time. So even if it's like you get a reading from somebody and you drink a cup of water and you pray and you take a spiritual bath. I mean, that was a lot of things, but even just drinking a cup of water, like if you get an anatomy, physical body scan, and it's not to your liking, even just drinking some water, like speaking blessings in the water, just drink it, that will change the reading. If somebody read you again right then, that reading would be slightly different because you have altered what was 2 minutes ago, right? So your readings are not set in stone. However, they do offer, guidance. They do offer insight to what's going on right now. They do offer, viable ways to perhaps get out. And then if you know what's happening now, you can perhaps make that plan for the future a little bit. So additional pendulum work, she says, is also useful for food. Simply hold it over the food item and ask if it's beneficial for your body temple. If the answer is yes, eat it. If the answer is no, just cross this item off of your grocery list. And I also think maybe the pendulum could help with sacred space if you're having struggle with deciding which item to keep, which tool to keep or something. I think a pendulum might help you with that as well. Pendulum work also is useful for people who have lost something. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos on utilizing your pendulum to find something lost, and that's also a really good practice. So if you maybe if you have somebody who will work with you, they can hide something for you, in a decent hiding spot, progressively harder as you get better at this. But just practice trying to find something with your pendulum. Start in a room and narrow it down from room to space to over and under to little different things so that you can practice finding something with the pendulum and get a little better with that. So here she has the interpretations on page 280. She says void, the code would be V. So it's like if you have this little chart in front of you, you can make a little table with little boxes to check. You can make a little person with a little body to write on. There's so many little ways that you can really do this. So I think, you can really make this your own. So she says, void would be a motionless pendulum. That's a V. She says this is at the entrance of the temple. You're far from the temple gates. Your wellness is shut down. You are separated from, the temple of wellness, the temple of spirituality that you're attempting to go to with this body part situation, event, whatever. Adverse is code A. Counterclockwise, that's a no. At the gates of the temple, this also applies if the organ related has been damaged or removed. So if you have had a removal of the womb or part of the womb, that is something that needs to be healed from. Same as, even if you're really well and then you have to get an abortion or you get have a miscarriage. These are all still things that it's not that you're broken or something afterwards. It's that there does need to be an effort to reconnect, to rebuild, to heal, and calibrate and get back into balance for the future with certain events that may or may not occur in your life. So neutral, horizontal line, back and forth swing inside the corridors in the inner circle of your road to the temple, body balance. So temple balance here is the body, right? So you're inside the corridors, you're midway to wellness level, you're in the inner circle. Positive is the clockwise swing. P, throughout the temple, upper room, wellness level. So positive plus is when it's swinging a lot positive, right? So that's P plus. You've reached the Nebuchadnezzar purification bowl, roof within the upper room, advanced wellness. So she has a chart here for the 9 gateways pendulum reading log. She has all of the gateways. She has week 1 through week 9. You could change that to month 1 through month 9. And really give yourself a reading, to completely, connect with how your body is responding to your journey and how your spirit is responding to your journey as well. So she continues on with the food part. Sorry. If the answer is neutral for your food, you should do research on your food. See what's positive about it, what's negative. Perhaps it's something you can eat. You need to eat only once in a while for a specific purpose. For example, leeks are very helpful if you're going through a bout of high blood pressure, but you should eat them only a very short amount of time because taken for longer periods, they can lower your blood pressure too much. So I think that's like a really, a wise thing to think about is, how much you're getting of things, and be safe. You can also use the pendulum for information on which herbal teas you need at a particular time, which essential oils, which flower essences, which dietary supplements. You can even check which dosage is correct. For example, your dialogue with your pendulum might go as follows. Should I have 1 tablespoon of this formula? No. Should I have less? No. Should I have more? Yes. Should I have 2 tablespoons? No. 3? Yes. Should I take it at night? No. In the morning? Yes. Be creative in the uses that you can find for your pendulum. The more detached you are about the pendulum, the stronger and clearer and more accurate your readings will be. You actually are a pendulum yourself. If you are clean, clear, open, and tuned in, you can read directly from your spirit. Your inner voice speaks the truth. Listen. So, yeah, definitely, I think, the more practice you have with a pendulum, the better you'll be. I've also seen people use, their fingers as pendulums, like, and, I think, finding your divination method is just really important so that you're able to accurately read. So if that's tarot, if it's pendulums, if it's, a crystal ball, however it is you do it, reading smoke, just, find methods that really work for you and speak for you, through you, so that you can really connect spiritually and make sure you're doing these types of readings on yourself and on your situations before, you get into it, because people are always like, how do I know? And that's how you know, is from, divination and knowing how to use those types of tools and energies. All right, so prayer. Another important part of your spiritual work as a priestess in training is to create your own prayers. Prayers that come fresh from your soul using the words of your heart are nearly always more effective than the most beautiful prayers you read in a holy book or can find in Sacred Woman. Your own prayers are filled with inspiration, the inbreathing of spirit. Instead of always asking for something, try filling your prayers with praise and gratitude for all the things that are going right in your life, in the lives of your loved ones, and in the world. Even at the darkest moments, fill your prayers with light and love and blessings, for another universal law is that which you send out will return 100-fold. So be brave, trust yourself, trust spirit moving through you. Whisper your prayers, speak your prayers out loud, sing your prayers, dance your prayers. Trust that you will be heard. I think this one is also really important, keeping in mind that, your prayers should, I would say, like 99% of the time should be, gratitude, thankfulness to your ancestors, just talking with them, that connection. It shouldn't just be all like give me, or like hex other people. That should be something that doesn't happen often, right? Like that should be like stuff that is only comes out when it has to, and otherwise you are definitely do you see, I could just notice my kids have like fingerprints all on the wall from touching the dust from the incense. Children, because it's like all on top of the altar, and those little things that catch it, and they just stick their fingers in and paint the walls with the incense dust. All right, anyways, so dream work. My ancient African ancestors used dreams and fasting to discover truths about themselves and others. Your dreams are filled with information and insights, healing and inspiration. All you need to do is learn to retrieve them, record them, work with them, and even program them as you would a computer. Our minds are the software, and dreams are the spreadsheets of our lives. None of these things is difficult to do. Use your Sacred Woman journal to record your dreams. Use a special dream journal and pen you keep by your bed, and just write in it as soon as you wake up. The Sacred Woman Wellness Diet is ideal for remembering dreams since drugs, alcohol, and heavy eating of sugary, fried, and processed foods, especially right before bedtime, disturbs sleep and definitely interferes with dream recall. I think anybody who has gotten the itis or who has fallen asleep drunk can attest to that. You know, it's very difficult when you wake up to concentrate on your dreams. You can also program your dreams, which is called incubating, to find solutions to questions or problems, to receive healing or creative inspiration. Especially if you're someone who feels like super alone, it's like me and my ancestors, that's it. This is a great way to communicate, I think. In as few words as possible, state your intention. For example, dreams, please show me how to solve my problem with my boss, or dreams, please bring me a healing tonight. Repeat this to yourself like a mantra at least 3 times just as you're falling asleep. Be patient and give your dreaming mind at least 3 nights to come up with a response. It does respond to repetition. So I think that part is also important. I think sometimes people are like, show me the way, and then it like nothing happens right then, and so they're like, none of this, it's bunk, right? And so, remembering that repetition, trying again, not giving up immediately can really be a useful tool, repetition. So when you wake up in the morning or from your sleep, try not to move for a few minutes while you rerun the dream in your mind. Then reach down to the side of the bed, pick up your dream journal and pen, and write down what you remember. The more you write, the more you usually can remember. But even if it's only a scrap image or a few words, just write those down, right? And as you get into the habit of it, you'll start to become better at it, Date your dream, give it a brief title, or write a brief description of it, like a movie review. When you review your dream journal in a few months, you'll see these descriptions. You'll use these descriptions to find the information you want to review, for dreams often make more sense to you over time. And, they can be just something really useful to look back in on. So there are many ways to work with dreams, but the ones that will probably be easiest and most familiar is just simply to dialogue with a place, person, thing in the dream that is most mysterious, scary, or puzzling to you. Ask this element to tell you why it appears in your dreams and what it means in your life now. Dialoguing with frightening images, people, or situations is an excellent way to get rid of nightmares, for it allows you to work your way through to your healing. You don't need to do dream work with every dream, only the most important ones, and especially the ones you have incubated. And your dream work doesn't have to be done first thing in the morning. Just get the dream down and save a few pages, and then do your dream work when you have time and meditative space to work in. So it's just important that you just write that stuff down in the morning, and then later you can go back and write the title, write all that interesting information, that might be useful. You don't need, Ask your dream for a gift. Be prepared to offer one in return if asked. Take the wisdom of your dream with you into your day. Sweet dreams. So we're on page 283, and we are going to get into the meat of this chapter, which is the Sacred Woman Medicine Bags. The Sacred Woman Medicine Bags. This bag is going to be different for everybody, like I've said, so I think, you should just sit back, take notes on what interests you, and really think about the type of sacred woman and healer you're trying to become. So this section is called 4 Sacred Woman Medicine Bags, healing medicine bags, and that's because she goes over 4 diverse bags to give you a good idea of how different your path might be and how diverse it can be, and how it should really be about you, your unique needs, and your unique path. Sacred medicine women, bush women, and wise women of power and grace, spread the word. Let's heal our race. The time has come for you to step forward to do the work of the Creator. Your sacred medicine bag will grow and transform just as you do. Like an old-fashioned doctor's black bag, the Sacred Woman's medicine bags contain the earth and spirit medicine necessary to help heal what ails you and your loved ones. Just remember, for good medicine, always let spirit guide you. Create a special bag or buy a beautiful ready-made bag that has your spirit in it. you, not, Queen Afua or anybody else. Make sure this is something that when you see it, it really awakens your healer energy, your sacred woman energy, the energy that you're trying to bring forth in the world. And yours may be a little bit more of a like militant energy. It may be a little more of a feminine energy. It may be, more masculine. It could be just, a doctor's black bag. I don't know. It could be one of those beautiful weekend bags from Kingdom of Melanin. I don't know. Yeah, really make sure it's one of those things that really does speak to your spirit though and awakens something in you when you see it. That I think is a very powerful message. That your sacred bag should be, it can be made, it can be bought, but it should be something that awakens something in your spirit when you see it. And fashion in that way is so important, especially for healing and utilizing beauty in that way. Use this bag only to carry your juju tools. Do not put anything else in this bag. Do not empty this bag occasionally and use it to, trip off to the weekend. Get yourself a second bag to do all those other stuff, okay? This bag only carries your juju tools. It is covered in your juju. You maybe have stitched some stuff on it that has to do with you. It has a mojo bag sewed into the inner pockets. It has, something beautiful stuffed into the lining. It's covered in some beautiful scents. So when you open it, it like a puff of beautiful smell comes out of it and just, embraces everyone in the room. I don't know, but whatever it is, this bag is only for your juju tools and this helps keep your energy balanced as well as the energy of those who are in need of your assistance. With your Sacred Woman Master Healing Medicine bag, you will be ready for whatever comes up in your life travels. So this bag can be just like a sack. It can be something with a lot of compartments. I think, you really need to think about what your needs are. Are you somebody who carries paperwork? And, you need something really small that can tuck into your briefcase or something? Or are you somebody who, has, you're a birth worker or something, so you got 2 medicine bags and you carry one in each fist? Oh, I thought they were mad at each other, but they were just playing. Oh, okay. Where was I? She says, you'll be ready for whatever comes up in your life travels. In my medicine bag, I also carry my sacred spirit watcher doll. She sits in the center of the bag as a gift from Sister Queen Cyrus, a loving lotus blossom and sacred artist from LA. I travel with this sacred image to use when I set up my altar for my Sacred Woman initiation training. So that is just a little insight on what's in Queen's bag. She always has a little altar that she sets up. Because she does the Sacred Woman initiation training, because she wants to be prepared for that. So for you, whatever your healing work is, you may also consider having a small altar set up. Maybe you keep it all tied up in a little cloth, and then you can open it up. You've got a small statue in there, maybe a small picture in there. Maybe you've just got a candle, a bowl, and you pour the water, and now you got a little thing going on there. Maybe you have an actual little doll that you will set up with flowers and little things and a picture. I think that it will just be, in the picture could be, an anonymous ancestral picture that you have, maybe something that just speaks to your soul. It's a picture of nature. Really, I think make that little altar something that's yours, and also something that's accessible, something that is made from things around your home. Especially if you don't have the money to go out and buy little particulars specifically for this altar. Of course, for the little altar, you're going to bathe all that stuff in some salt water or some, otherwise treated blessing water. Bathe those items, make sure that they're cleansed so that they're prepared, right? So all your stuff hopefully is also getting sprayed down, bathed down, and kept in your juju tool only sacred healing medicine bag. All right, so but I love the idea of the doll. I love the idea of the altar. because a lot of people do need that. And like I've said before, you know, I've done postpartum ceremonies, and that is something I do, is set up the altar, we call down the prayers, that type of thing. So let's see. She says, one afternoon, while teaching a sacred woman's training, I asked all the women to pull out their sacred medicine bags, which 90% of the people present did have. Each sacred woman spoke about what was contained in her medicine bag and why. One corporate sister's medicine bag stood out due to its simplicity, containing only a pendulum and a single crystal clear quartz. It was really important for us to see the range of medicine bags carried by these different women. It sparked the idea that we each use different sacred medicine bags for different situations, and this led me to share the contents of the following 5 medicine bags. As a rule of thumb, always use your intuition to guide you to the right bag and its contents. So which is it? Is it 5 or is it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's just 4. Maybe it was originally supposed to be 5. Oh, maybe she's talking about the corporate bag. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, y'all? You can always use your intuition to guide you to the right bag and its contents. Trust your divine self. Again, create the bag that fits to your needs and draws from the master medicine bag that empowers you. So yes, don't feel obligated to get certain tools, but if you do set your eye on certain tools, you know, definitely, you know, work to get those and create a solid bag with solid juju tools, tools with juju, and tools to use with your juju for healing and for, you know, wellness, and to keep on you as you take that role in your community as somebody who does have these tools. Maybe you're not the person people go to first and pay for these things, but you are somebody who is capable of, when your family is in crisis, rooting down and pulling up and doing what needs to be done with your healing bag, with your family, with the needs that are around you that you've committed yourself to in some way. So the first bag is a Sacred Woman's Master Healing Bag. She has all these items listed below are to be ready for most any situation. So this is just a general bag for, you know, these are just general items that you could decide to put into your bag over time. She has Golden Seal as a blood cleanser. Cascara Sagrada is a laxative. Aloe vera gel is a blood cleanser and laxative. Cayenne pepper is good for increasing circulation. And keep in mind, these are things, some of these things can be used spiritually and some of them topically, internally, etc., depending on the item. So you definitely need to research further on all of these and how they can be used in different situations. All right, so we have the organic apple cider vinegar, which can break up mucus and also be used in an enema to flush out congestion and mucus. She has a Heal Thyself Green Life formula. Queen has several formulas, which I totally recommend, and Green Life is something I still use to this day. Let me pull you a little closer. My kids are just screaming, and I keep, like, sitting back because I want to relax. So, she has the Green Life Formula 1, which is a rejuvenator. You put a couple teaspoons of that into your smoothie. It's just one of those green powdered things to put in your smoothie. Clear quartz crystal for clarity, mentally or spiritually. Carry with you in your hand or pocket, wear as a necklace or talisman, in a small drawstring bag, in your mojo bag perhaps. Remember to purify your crystal daily or, you know, as often as used. Heal Thyself Colon Cleanse. Self-explanatory what that one does. That's another one by Queen. She also talks about kyolic, which is liquid garlic extract for a respiratory system and high blood pressure. Shepherd's Purse helps to stop bleeding. Cinnamon brings forth a sweet disposition, helps arrest menstrual bleeding. Also can add a bit of a kick, a spice to something in a positive way if you're using, you know, for root working. Desert or white sage leaves for spiritual cleansing of self, home, altar, and clothes. You can also use many, many other things that are perhaps more relevant to you or easily accessible, or, pertinent to your situation that you're using. You can burn those in a seashell or ceramic dish. If possible, always keep a window open, a crack, to allow for purification and airflow. You can also use, she says, a Walita sage deodorant spray for instant cleansing in your spaces. Everybody now sells Florida water sprays. I definitely recommend to get you a spray, especially if you're just like, let me just walk through the house and just like get this done real quick. That is something that can definitely help you out with that. She talks about frankincense and myrrh for spiritual cleansing and anointing, as well as when you can also use those in a pot of boiling water. In Punani Proverbs, I give several recipes for boiling a pot of water for an air freshener and putting in fresh herbs and different spices and things in there to give it a beautiful smell to the home. So here she says you can also do that with frankincense and myrrh, other incense. You can put those in a pot of boiling water and also get that air flowing through your house, so that you don't just have to use a diffuser. That's the old school diffuser. She says valerian is for calming and quiet, good for nervous conditions and sleeplessness. Kava, that's with a K, is for relieving stress and has a tranquilizing effect. Very natural. It's been used in the South Pacific for centuries. Queen Afua's rejuvenating clay and other clays. There are many clays out there. Those are for relieving aches and pains. You can make a gauze-covered clay pack for the womb or other body part that's necessary for really good results. You can also, for deep rejuvenation, leave on for a few hours or overnight until it's dried, and let it really extract. She also talks about white willow bark, relieving pain and headaches. Heal Thyself, Breath of Spring. This is my favorite from Queen Afua, and I always recommend this. It's like a very minty, you can just drop it on your tongue and it just opens up all your senses. And just it's really good for if you are struggling with sacred words, or you really want to get in tune with your words and remember that that's what you're doing, especially if you're somebody who gets distracted really easy when you're meditating, etc. Put a drop of that on and you'll be like, with every breath you'll remember what you're doing, like, oh yeah, that's yep, and you remember what you're doing because it just sticks with you. And I really love the stuff, I really do. So it's called Heal Thyself. It's an equal part eucalyptus and peppermint oil. There you go. She tells you how to make it. So I knew it was mint, though. I knew that was mint. Okay, so it's good for the respiratory system, hay fever. You put 1 to 3 drops under the tongue and drink with water, with a few drops of lemon juice squeezed into that. Or you can put a couple drops into a pot of water and let it get up in you, and it will clear you right up. But for me, when I have like an illness, I just drop a couple on my tongue and I'm like, oh, I can breathe again. It's better than Vicks, y'all, because then with Vicks you get all sticky and stuff. And I feel like Vicks worked better when I was a kid, maybe, I don't know. Now I'm with the Breath of Life and I think it works so well. But make sure if you're making this yourself with eucalyptus and peppermint oil, double, triple check that what you're buying is internally safe, because some oils are obviously not internally safe, and some of them aren't even topically safe. Like, you can't even put it on your skin without maybe harming yourself. So like, some oils are strictly for the diffuser process, so just make sure you're getting high quality stuff that can be utilized. So where are we? Bach Flower Rescue Remedy Cream for abrasions, burns, bruises, and skin discomfort. So keeping something for that type of thing, some kind of topical cream for abrasions, burns, bruises, and skin discomfort. I don't know if you can still get the Bach Flower Rescue. That sounds awesome. I want a flower rescue. I want a flower rescue. But anyways, I don't know where that's sold. I've never, seen it around. Salt and honey are also very good to have in a medicine bag. Salt and honey, especially a high quality honey that has not been like tampered with, is excellent. And also maybe a couple of like wooden things or spoons or something that you can serve out of and keep it, for the most part cleansed in there. Um, so that's good for drawing out poisons. It's good for adding sweetness to teas. It's also, you can mix honey with like turmeric and other healing agents to apply to wounds also. So that can be a good temporary fix to have. Um, she also says, notes that is recommended by Ianla Van Zandt, an honorary professor of Heal Thyself, a loving and caring friend and best-selling author. Who knew? Ianla and Queen Afua go way back, way, way back. How cool is that? Candle to light the way. A candle is excellent to keep on deck. I'm actually like not very familiar with Iyanla, but I do know that she has like books that a lot of people enjoy. But I know a lot of people don't like her show, so who knows? Who knows about, people change and so on. That I think it's really cool because this book was written, so long ago. So it's cool to think that they were connected back in the 90s and the 80s, whatever. So candle to light the way, we said. Lemon to eliminate congestion. Keep a lemon in there to cut and use. You've got a crystal pendulum maybe tucked in there, or a sacred instrument to do those energetic readings, whatever that instrument may be, tarot, etc., curios, etc. Crystals. So you had the clear quartz, but you could also add amethyst, the mother of all healers. Rose quartz is also a really good one. She says have some cowrie shells on you. Those promote womb wellness and summon the voice of the womb. So maybe have a little, some little ones that you can like give to clients or have them meditate with while you're with them, that sort of thing. We also have the 26 oracle or spiritual reading cards. She talked about her cards, and then also you can have your own. She also has another flower rescue remedy, which is a composite of 5 remedy flower essences. I need to look up this Bach flower rescue remedy stuff, y'all. Like, what are all these little things? 28, a feather to bring balance to any situation. 29, your favorite prayer laminated on a card. Maybe this is one you've written. Maybe these are ones that you have learned from other people or other sources. Just write down what they are, their source. Maybe you can even have those on pieces of paper to give to other people. That can help spread the word of the ancestors and the movement that you are a part of. That would be really beautiful as well, because, other cultures do that too, and that would be a really wonderful thing to keep in your medicine bag. She says, other little things to keep are some of your favorite spiritual music. Maybe have a little MP3 player of some sort that just has the spiritual music, and a little tiny Bluetooth speaker with its, proper cords adjacent, so you don't get stranded out there. And have some of that spiritual music, your Sacred Movement CD, the Roseki Art Temple meditations and CDs. Maybe you have select songs from Ibeyi, or I feel like if you're into certain different types of neo soul. I know Georgia Ann Muldrow, some of her songs could really work. Some, if you're still into Erykah Badu, some of her songs could work. Chloe and Halle, I think, also have a couple songs that like have a very spiritual feel to them, very beautiful spiritual feel to them. Who else? Willow Smith has a couple songs that I think maybe could work. I have a playlist called Mellow Mamas on YouTube from my personal YouTube page. So if you ever type in Mellow Mamas, make sure you put the S, because there's somebody called the Mellow Mama out there who's a little popular. who popped up randomly years after I made the playlist. I was like, great, like now my playlist is like gonna compete with people, but the playlist is like for me mostly. So I just always say that just in case I offer people to look for it. But anyways, it has some songs on there. Not all of them are appropriate for this type of thing, but some of them are appropriate. I've been trying to make a playlist on this channel, but I'm just always distracted. Anyways, she also says small sacred images or sculptures and the silk scarf to make a quick altar is necessary. Extracts of herbs must be non-alcoholic so that they can be taken as liquid with tea, or as tea. Try brands such as Liquid Pharmacy or Nature's Answer. Follow directions on the bottles always. So the other bags are a lot smaller. So we have Sacred Spirit medicine bag. Here she has sage, the leaf or the oil. So that would be so simple. You could do cinnamon, the stick or the oil. Simple. You know what I mean? Keep it simple. Keep it, straightforward. A cleanser is what she's saying. Something to cleanse with the scent or with burning. Stones or gems for all 7 RE2. So you will have a little drawstring bag with 7 stones that represent the 7 chakra points or RE2 energy points. 3, frankincense and myrrh. Rocks or essential oil for emotional and spiritual balancing. She says you can also look at the Master Gateway chart for appropriate oils. That's at the beginning of the book. I don't remember what page, and she doesn't note it here. But frankincense and myrrh, so that is not completely necessary, remember. So frankincense and myrrh, you're really right here just trying to get 2 things or something, some kind of rock, some kind of incense, some kind of essential oil that specifically looks at emotional and spiritual balancing. So you can try and substitute that, accordingly. Also within this small bag will be a small ceramic bowl or burner or a metal incense burner so that you can be burning these incense. And the charcoal, obviously, that you burn the incense on. You light the charcoal and you can sprinkle the incense on top of that, right? And then it will let up that beautiful smoke and start smoke cleansing and let up the beautiful scent as well. A small feather, she says, is optional for meditations, mott meditation, balance meditation, holding, while you meditate. But you can also substitute that for something else that the person or yourself can hold for meditation purposes from the medicine bag. Maybe a small statue, maybe a small doll, maybe a small picture, maybe just a small item of some sort, you know what I mean? Or maybe it's a shawl of some sort. Maybe you have a shawl that you keep in your medicine bag to drape over people's shoulders, or a veil to drape over people's heads, which you keep cleansed or some sort, that you can have for meditative purposes is the point. So here she also notes having a purification prayer to balance out the heart, emotions, traumas, to soothe and bring harmony. This is something that you will be channeling, writing. This is where you take that channeling, writing stuff from your journal and you turn it into a usable prayer that you can repeat, that you can have on a card and pass to the person, and they can sit and read to themselves and meditate over to themselves as they're thinking. We also have a small bell tuning fork to harmonize energetic imbalances. This would be an excellent opportunity for someone like me who has these awesome little pan drums to perhaps play the music or have some music, and to learn to play the pan drum or the little drums. I don't know what the little version is called, but the bigger pan drums, you just need to know the basics of drumming, and then you can kind of create a rhythm with it and make some music and make something beautiful to harmonize the energetic imbalances. If you're not as musically inclined, a tuning fork and the simple learning method with that, or a small bell to ting ting, keep the time, maybe one of those bowls, ringing bowls. There are different methods. for helping to harmonize energetic imbalance with sound is the point of that. Then having sacred healing prayers that you have transcribed into a small notebook or laminated, photocopied, that sort of thing. Have sacred healing prayers on you, for different ailments, for spirit, for different body parts, for, you know what I mean? Make these, again, your own. Make the book, the final copy. So you're free writing in a different journal, and then for this one that's in your medicine bag, that will be the final copy that you've transcribed, and it's clear, easy to read. Maybe it's printed and taped in a journal. Maybe you've printed your own. Maybe you have a little binder. I'm not sure how you do things, but however you do it, that's it. That's Sacred Spirit Medicine Bag. It ends with that journal of prayers for you to use. And I think that was such a really powerful medicine bag. It was very straightforward, very to the point. This next one is a little bit longer. Has the same amount of items. So we have the 9 to 5 healing medicine bag for work. First, she has a small crystal that you can choose from the gateway charts. This one is an intuitively led crystal that you feel the most comfortable working with, you prefer to work with. 2, the 7 chakra crystals and surgical tape that can place the stones on appropriate chakras according to the needs throughout the day. So while you're doing things, you can have the crystal taped to you in different areas of your body, and no fear that it will move or be dislodged. 3, rejuvenation herbal extracts such as dandelion, alfalfa, gotu kola, which is brain food for power and drawing in positive vibrations, kava kava, and Siberian ginseng. You can put 10 to 20 drops of those into water as needed. So having, rejuvenating herbal extracts on you was the point there, having a small pack. So far, this is a really small bag. We got the crystal, we've got the 7 crystals and a little roll of surgical tape, all in a little baggie, and then we've got these little herbal extracts in their own little box. Then you've got a Sekhmet healing prayer, so some sort of healing prayer, laminated. You've got a protection prayer next to that, also laminated, hopefully. You can laminate just with pieces of clear tape, y'all, so don't even feel like it's all that serious. You can go ahead and, be handwriting these things on. I just want you to feel like, you don't necessarily have to pay for these things. You can use what's around your home and really create beautiful living pieces of art along that of your tools, so that it's highly personal and that it means something to you. So then next we have the frankincense and myrrh essential oil for protection. So you have a protection oil of some sort. So that can be one oil that you've mixed and that you've worked over. Or it can be, some sort of mixture. Really make that your own as well. So next, she recommends to have the Bach flower essence remedy in your bag, and that's a liquid. So she says 2 to 4 drops on the tongue or mixed in a small amount of water, as well as the rescue remedy cream. So finally, she says the Flower Essence Society Yarrow Root Essence to protect aura from radiation from computers, televisions, microwave ovens, etc. So that is it. That is the smallest. That medicine bag is like this small tops. It's a very small bag. And I think that's a really useful one to keep in mind, especially for work. This one's very specific towards that. I'm going to definitely look into the Flower Essence Society's Yarrow Root Essence to look at how the yarrow root really helps with the radiation around us, and because that is really important at work, especially because everybody's got a computer, everybody's got a phone, everything's connected, everything's constantly, and there's not really a way to step out of that, especially when you're in the environment and you're working, and this is important to you. Obviously, you're not going to just, like some people will drop it all and go like backpack through the Poconos, but like most people won't. Most of us have jobs and lives that we've committed to, and it just wouldn't be conducive or wise to just drop it all. So you might as well make the best with what you can and heal with the situation that you're in, and rise with that. You know what I mean? Be you and still rise to the top. So our final one that she mentions here, whew, we are almost done for today, y'all. She has a traveling healing medicine bag. This bag, first of all, she says that there's an herbal laxative. She recommends Cascara Sagrada tablets. You would have 2 to 3 tablets or 2 to 3 capsules at night with water. She recommends second to have an enema bag. Third to have a kyolic garlic extract, liquid form. Yeah, she's going straight for the guts during this travel medicine bag. She's like, you're gonna have bubble guts, you're gonna be eating wrong, or you're traveling because this person needs you and is in like a desperate state. So for B complex tablets or capsules, which are a nerve strengthener for relief of stress, you take 25 to 50 milligrams twice a day. We have here wheatgrass or spirulina powder, which she recommends for energy, memory, and rejuvenation. Add that 1 to 3 times a day to your water, to your juice, etc. 6, we have vitamin C, 500 milligram capsules or powder, which strengthens the immune system, which you could take twice a day with meals. Echinacea or an echinacea and golden seal extract. This helps with infections, fevers, compromised immune systems. We have the juice of 1 to 2 lemons, which can be taken with warm water. That also helps keep the body cleansed. This is a very cleansing, healing medicine bag. Healing aloe vera gel for breaking addictions. It's also a good laxative and blood cleanser. You can put that 2 tablespoons of gel to the juice of 1 lemon into a glass of water. That'd be a very healing cleanser, blood cleanser, and possibly for breaking addiction too, though I can't imagine that's what you'd want to drink during that time. Pendulum to read the energy of a person, place, or situation. A white leaf sage with a small seashell for burning, or the spray for cleansing. The divination cards for spiritual readings. She also recommends lavender oil for bath or anointing. Keep your favorite prayers laminated or in a little booklet, as well as your favorite music on you. And that is it for that one. Next time we will get into what will we be reading? Next week we'll be reading about the violence upon our race, the violence upon this womanhood, the violence upon wombs, and about healing. I'm gonna try and make that one super inclusive as best I can, because I mean, in the context of when this was written, this was very, powerful woman stuff, because women were, reclaiming their power in a lot of ways. So this was like really good information. It's a little outdated. So we're going to be trying to modernize it up a bit and really make that distinction about what is oppression of the womb, what is the oppression of the womanhood, what is the violence, the violence, not the oppression, but the violence against the womb, the violence against the woman, and violence against the race of Black people, anti-Blackness. So we're gonna get all the way through to the end of this chapter next week, but this is not the end of the month, because we also are going to be talking about holding space and healing after birth, so postpartum, and then also after different forms of child loss. So that's going to be in Punani Proverbs, which I wrote, and I did have at the end information for healing after abortion, miscarriage, stillbirth, and postpartum, and the ways that the womb can really need extra love and support during those times, and the ways that you can give that to yourself and to others. So we'll be talking about that. I think that's going to be the final week of July. So I stepped into my kids' room to conclude the video. I just wanted to um, give the final thought of putting together our medicine bags. I do think, a lot of this, falls into place with each other the more into each gateway you get. So, the more into sacred space, you are, and the more your space at home is centered, the more ready you'll be to, grab your bag and always have that prepared as well. So, everything will kind of meld with each other the more effort you put into each gateway. And then I just wanted to, encourage you to find out what that means to you, what the sacred bag means to you, and really meditate on that. Perhaps do the pendulum and the journaling and all of that for that question for yourself, and see really where it leads you, because your path may look very different from other people's. Your bag may look totally different from the ones that I talked about today. But I hope that this did give you a starting point and some inspiration on basic tools to keep with yourself to enhance the healing for yourself and for those around you. All right, so it's my goal to make another video in the next couple days. So I'll be bright and early ready for Monday next week, and to hopefully keep up that energy and be ahead of the curve from here on out. So I'll see you on Monday, hopefully. And until then, may your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads.